Alright, welcome back to another video over here on SCS Combat, and today I'm going to be giving you my official prediction for Stevenson versus Teofimo Lopez going down this weekend, tomorrow night at the time of recording. So yeah, let's get into it. So firstly, Teofimo Lopez, insane record at points, you know what I mean? He's got wins over Zeli Lomachenko, Josh Taylor. It's strange with him because a lot of the times if you put him against someone who he's expected to beat and do it easily, he might struggle. You know, he might maybe not put on as much of a display of his skills that are there, and we've seen them there. You know, the fact that he beat Lomachenko when he was 23 and 16 fights into his career is insane. Obviously, Lomachenko considered one of the best boxers ever, due to his obviously his amateur record, but also the way he's able to fight in the pros. Then got Josh Taylor one as well. I mean, some of the shots that he hit him with, kind of jumping up jab, stuff like that. Teofimo's got that style that it's very hard to catch. George Kambosos beat him quickly, interrupting. I will be live for Teofimo Lopez versus Shakur Stevenson and UFC 325, both going down tomorrow night, roughly around the same time. But I will make it happen. I will be live. Come back here, subscribe, check it out. That was the way that went. You know, that's another example of Teo maybe not performing at his best when expected to. Loses that fight, gets dropped. Still a close fight. He was injured going in. Very badly injured, actually, I've come to learn. He's got the awkward style, but it's also combined with punch power. Then at the lower weights, he didn't get Arnold Barbosa out of there in that last fight, but that was a fight where it was kind of like he really does have some skill there, because I do remember a point Arnold Barbosa backs him up onto the ropes and Teo just dodges like 3 punches and then like hits the alley shuffle. Some of the stuff he's able to do in fights, just the sharpness of it, the technique of it is really hard. Not only really hard to beat, but really hard to come across in sport. Sometimes it's just so clean. And you do need to be a certain type of athlete and a certain type of style boxer to do that, to do some of the stuff he does and to land these shots on such good fighters. Outside of the power, he has shown the IQ. Lomachenko again. I mean, that is an unbelievable win. Let's be honest here, that is unreal. At the time of his career when he got that, at the age that he got that win, very few people would ever have done that. He's one of them. So that shows where his skill can be at its absolute peak. He'd be one of the best boxers ever at a younger age, 16 fights in, and he's now back against one of the best defensive fighters that we've seen in this generation, and that is Shakur Stevenson. I'm actually a way bigger fan of Shakur Stevenson than many people, because obviously you get hit with the, oh, he just runs, he doesn't hit hard, he's got no knockouts. I always said after Shakur fights, if you show up to a Shakur Stevenson fight expecting a knockout and complaining about him not getting a knockout, you already know he's likely not going to get a knockout, so just don't watch it. You know what I mean? Like, you can't show up to a fight where someone like Shakur obviously got that Josh Padley stoppage, but it's obviously been a while and he's had hand injuries, you know, throughout his career that maybe took away his power, because you look at kind of towards not the start of his career, but you know, before he started moving up weights and stuff, he's looking to be a 4-weight world champion here. At the lower weight classes that Shakur was in, his timing, his precision was able to kind of equal his power, and he could get knockouts, he could stop people. Whereas now that he's kind of come up the weights, he's been through more, he's had the hand injuries, we've seen the sparring, he breaks his hand. You know, it kind of leaves fighters weakened with her punch power. Floyd Mayweather, the greatest example of it, went from the pretty boy style to Money Mayweather, where he was just way more defensive compared to the start of his career when he would come forward, throw combinations and be more ferocious. Shakur Stevenson, you look at last time out, in my opinion, that is the best challenge that Shakur Stevenson hasn't necessarily faced, or I mean, just straight up, he hasn't faced the level of opponent that Teofimo Lopez has gone against throughout his career. But he's still here and he's still fighting Teofimo Lopez. It shows that given the opportunity, that he will not back down from a fight. He showed that in his last performance as well, as he took on William Zepeda. You look at that fight, and if you were to choose kind of with Shakur's style, what type of fighter, what sort of style would give him the most challenge? And you would have to look at someone like Zepeda that just keeps throwing, doesn't stop. The record setting and punch output, that constant pressure is how you break a defensive fighter. And look, to reference him again, because it's the kind of style that he had towards the end of his career. Floyd Mayweather, his toughest challenge whenever he was being that defensive slick fighter, his toughest challenges come against the likes of Maidana. Do you know what I mean? That is the style that can break these sort of fighters. Very interestingly though, Shakur was game that night and he stood there and he fought with Zepeda. One thing that I thought Shakur done brilliantly was kind of just let Zepeda go, and then Shakur would be a lot more accurate most of the time in his return. I think Shakur might have, I don't think he got hurt in that fight. I think it was just like a jab. It kind of like slipped or something against the ropes. I think it was like round two. But Shakur, in my opinion, in that fight showed a great ability to keep going, stand there, give punches his back, because even if you don't have as much power like Shakur, like you're still landing, you're still winning, you're still getting the points. That is the sort of stuff that needs to happen for him in this fight, is to be able to counter in between. You know, Teo can throw a lot of these explosive things and jump at you, kind of jabs, jumping out, hooks, just and create. I mean, Teo has got some angles and some punches in his locker, but when it comes to a fighter like Shakur, very good defensive eye. Sees a lot of things coming. I think that was another thing in that Zepeda fight. Although he got hit more than he's ever got hit, he also defended a lot of shots. The like Shakur is very, very good. A lot of people hate on him, say he runs. I think there was a fight once again where he hurt his hand and you got to do you got to do to win. He is a better boxer than everyone he's fought because he's undefeated. So that kind of style people complain about is just their problem. That's the way it goes. If you want to see knockouts, watch heavyweights. But a lot of the times these smaller weight classes, people don't always get the knockout. But this is where you see the highest skill level, and it's the same with the likes of the UFC. You know, you look at 125, 135. You got Piotr Jan, Merab, Pantoja. Obviously, Mighty Mouse was one of the best fighters ever, and they're all lower weight class fighters. Then you look kind of back in the day in boxing. You got Sugar Ray Robinson, Sugar Ray Leonard. Not everyone needs to be a heavyweight knockout artist to be a good fighter. This is where you find the better skill. Shakur is sharp, Shakur is accurate, and accuracy is the big thing in this. In my opinion, he will be able to find gaps in Teo's offense. He's also got a very good defense as well, which is to be mentioned. You know, like I mentioned in that Barbosa fight, kind of the alley shuffle, the head movement, the ability to just catch people with mad punches. You know, Teo is a very complete fighter as much as Shakur. But you gotta wonder, I mean, this is like the big element for me. What Teofimo Lopez shows up in this fight, because is it gonna be the Teo that walked out as the greatest showman and then had a tougher fight than expected, then said, oh, do I still have this anymore? Am I still, that is what he said after the fight. Do I still have it? Do I still have it to go and do this? Or is this it? That sort of mindset cannot show up in this fight because Shakur Stevenson is way too sharp, way too accurate, and believes in himself way too much for a fighter like that to show up against him, because he will just outbox him, outland him, pick off the shots, counters in between two shots, use his footwork, use his defense, get off angles, and outbox Teo. If that's the type of Teo that shows up, the self-doubting Teo, and the one that doesn't necessarily believe in his own abilities as much as like other people may believe in them, and that is saying as it goes. You gotta believe in yourself as much as other people believe in you. So Teo needs to be confident. Shakur, on the other hand, has been a lot more consistent in his performances and his ways. You know, he might not always get the knockouts. He might not show as much power as Teo does, but Shakur knows what he's good at. Shakur knows what to stay away from, and he has consistently won again and again and again, unbeaten, which is something that Teofimo Lopez isn't. Shakur wins this, he's a four-weight world champion. These are all things that come into effect because that is the championship mentality, and that is the mentality of he cannot be beaten, because he has not been given a reason to believe he can be beat. He's not been shown anyone that could beat him, really. You know, that last fight was supposed to be his toughest fight. Not only did he beat him, but he kind of beat him at his own fight by stepping forward, stepping to William Zepeda and catching him with a lot of clean shots, uppercuts, jabs all day, by the way, that jab. This is the mindset of Shakur Stevenson as a champion who knows his strengths and knows his weaknesses. Shakur knows that he doesn't hit like Wilder. He's not going to go out there and fight stupid and maybe walk into a counter off Teo, who's also got very good defensive, counter punching. Whereas I feel like this could be a good back and forth fight. I think you're going to see Shakur pushed harder than he's ever been. But I think you could also see Teo pushed harder than he's ever been, because if you look at that, just look at the style of Shakur, that is not going to be easy to beat. That defense. And a lot of the times you do see Teo land a knockout punch. It's in a 2-punch combination, a 3-punch combination, whereas with Zepeda, he just walked forward the whole time and threw, like, I don't even know, he definitely threw like near 1,000 punches, I'm pretty sure, in that fight. But Shakur is like so highly skilled in defense that to beat a fighter like him, you need to take patience. Look for the openings early. The start of this fight will tell a lot, much to the end of it will as well. But whenever I was thinking about recording this video and you're sitting there and I'm trying to watch certain things, just recap, and you just look at it, you go, how do you pick? Teo's got the power. Teo's been at this weight class, which is another thing. But he's also got the IQ. Lomachenko, he's got the skill. Lomachenko to beat the best in the world, Josh Taylor. He's got the power, he's got the skill, he's got the athleticism, he's got the reflexes, he's got the defense, he's got the offense. Then, on the other hand, he has maybe not the best confidence at times. Can I still do this? Can I still go on? Maybe he doesn't believe in himself as much. but I believe he will in this fight because I think when the stars shine brightest, I think Teofimo Lopez shows up at his best. So this is something that I am actually hyped for. And Shakur, on the other hand, once again, generational defense, Philly shell, general and block, able to dodge a lot of shots, catch a lot of shots. Then you've got is also his offensive punching ability, which isn't hard punching, but it's sharp, technical, accurate punching. You know, you've got that with Shakur. Got his footwork, his movement, non-stop movement, and I'm sure as people will say, he can run for 12 rounds if he wants to. So that won't stop unless good body work from Teo. That's one way to do it. This is one of the most 50-50 fights in terms of chin. We never, Teo's been dropped. Shakur hasn't, I don't think. So maybe you give Shakur that one, but Shakur's also coming up another weight class now and fighting a hard puncher. Teo might not have got the honorable purpose stoppage, but if there's any flaws in that chin of Shakur, we're going to find out. It's a really difficult pick because you watch some highlights of Teo and you're like, some of the stuff he's done there is unbelievable. Like, who would even go for that? And then you look at Shakur's highlights and you just see that defense. Ridiculous. I do think there needs to be a healthy mix between that defense and that offense, like there was against Zepeda, to get the points in this one, to get the win in this one, because I do not think Shakur will get a knockout, but I'm not going to expect him to. When someone hasn't been beat, this is something I've learned. Very rarely should you doubt them, so thanks, Susa. I should have learned the first time from that one. But I'm going to pick Shakur Stevenson to get the win here. I think he's going to be able to evade the punching of Teo. I think he's going to be able to evade that offense, those explosive movements with that defense that he has. I just think he's going to outpoint them. When it comes to Teo, when he's put in doubted positions, if he's losing the fight throughout the early rounds, can he get it back? There's a lot of questionable things about Teo that he needs to answer in this fight when it comes to that mentality. But he's undefeated for a reason. So I'm going to pick Shakur Stevenson. I'm going to take him to get it done by decision. I feel like that is the main way people think Shakur will win here, and I think so as well. Unless he just perfectly times, maybe that weight, even though it hasn't previously, maybe that weight's give him a bit of, a bit more power, get a bit more pop behind those shots. Maybe he just perfectly times a counter and gets that stoppage, but I don't see that happening. I do see his defense holding up, and I do see him being able to take advantage of openings in Teo's game more than Teo can do to him. But I do think this will be a very, very close fight. You're looking at maybe 115, 113. Maybe someone gets a majority decision, someone gets a split decision. I do have Shakur here. I'm going to pick Shakur. Thank you for watching. Sorry if this video is less edited because it is currently the day before fight day, and I have to get another video out. Check that out as well. UFC 325, my prediction video will be after that. Bulk versus Lopez. So apologies if there's less added into this video. And obviously that's not my usual style. It will be fixed, but I am busy, so I do have to get these things out. If you like boxing, I take it this way you'll be on this video. Subscribe, come back here for more because I'll have interviews dropping, and hopefully something else very cool dropping as I go to the Mark Dunlop NHD Promotions show, Theatre Dreams, tomorrow. So come back here and check that out. Stick around for for interviews from some of the brightest stars in boxing. Let me know in the comments who you've got because it's extremely close. And if you've got Teo, let me know why because I'm actually interested to see. Like, subscribe, follow for more. Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. We're out.